Today, the book, the catalog we are going to release is very important in many aspects. Personally, I am having honor of associating with this collection since long back when the Brunners signed the bill, and it was kept. And when in 2006-7 we got communication from Hungarian Cultural Center that as part of the will, a part of collection has been given to IGNCA. And I remember visiting Hungarian embassy where approximately 4,000 paintings were kept. And although we got a part of it, some 1,000 plus paintings, but I am having opportunity to glance through all 4,000 wonderful collection, because one part of the collection went to Shantiniketan and one to the institute in Hungary. So all this collection is scattered. So this catalog, which my colleague Shilpi will let you know more about the collection, I just want to highlight one very important thing, that this important collection need to go to the people to know more about these great painters. And I have been discussing with Marian that why don't we think of creating a digital archive by including all the paintings in different location, because it may not be possible for a researcher go to all these four locations. But if we create a digital repository of these paintings, because at IGNCA we have already digitized the entire collection, and I'm sure same must have been done by the institute in Hungary. Santiniketan, if not done, we can help them in digitization. So if we can think of having a common digital repository under open access, where some low resolution images can be provided for the academic and research communities to know more about the wonderful work of these painters. And this is something like we have our member secretary and also the His Excellency Ambassador of Hungary present here. So this is one thought I thought of sharing in my welcome remarks. Uh, Another important thing which we have been discussing since long is that last year we organized one exhibition in the IGNCA. Similar, when our Honorable Minister was present, she suggested that similar exhibition should be organized in Hungary on some Indian artists as a reciprocal or mutual sharing. So that is the one. Now, I would like to introduce all of you that Mr. Srivastav has selected, and he will be joining as a director of Indian Cultural Center in Budapest very soon. So we give this responsibility to you to explore the mutual cooperation where we can do such event, and I'm sure our member secretary will be all supportive of this idea to have this kind of joint collaboration. Uh, and the another thing we discussed in the last meeting with Marian about like we have other number of common shared heritage, and we we plan to have some kind of a like joint publication. But in this regard, the immediate request came from her is that Mr. Lazar has already published a wonderful book on this Brunners, and it is in it need to be translated. And if she proposed that if agency can help in getting, so these are the few areas of mutual consultation we have. And I think other than today's book launch, we can also discuss further in that. I will not take more time because we have eminent speakers to speak on that. With this, these words of welcome, I extend a very hearty welcome to all of you. And as we know, today is the International Yoga Day, so I wish happy yoga to all of you. Thank you very much.
Originally, this event was planned for the 14th June, which happens to be the birthday of Elisabeth Schassbrunner, who was born in Hungary and Nagykanizsa in 1889, and she passed away in 1950. But her daughter, Elizabeth, or I think that a lot of you know her like Erzsike, she lived among us, or with you quite a long time, till 2001. It means that many of you, I'm sure, obviously you might have met or have met her with her, and I feel I must say that you are lucky, because you've met first what I had this impression about, discussing with people who met her, reading articles, reading and her hearing stories and anecdotes about her. So she was an extraordinary personality. Also, you were lucky to meet an artist who was particularly productive. As Professor Gore mentioned, more than 4,000 paintings, and one part of her heritage is presented in the catalogue we are about to launch today. And I'm also happy, contrary of her compatriot Amrita Shergill, that Hungary also benefited of her paintings. So apart IGNCA and Shantiniketan, at her birthplace, the Museum of Nagykanizsa, there are some of her paintings. At the Hop Museum, which is the Museum of Asiatic Arts, they are also owing some paintings of her. And third point, that she was also a witness of the 20th century. So she was, I think, at the right place at the right time, along with her mother, having met the biggest figures of the Indian history of the 20th century. And she not only met them, but she also painted them. So these are kind of memories, souvenirs of these meetings. And as she mentioned in one of the interviews, so these paintings were her diaries. So she didn't write diary, but having the series of the paintings, you can have a kind of nice view about her life. And before giving the floor to Shilpi Roy, I would like to mention actually what Professor Gore already mentioned, that we are about to launch, so it's an upcoming event project with IGNCA, to publish the book of my predecessor, Dr. Imre Razar, who is, I hope, that with us online. Yes, so it's not, you can see it's a quite tiny book. It's the collection of all his conversation and meetings with Erzsike, so with Brunner Erzsébet, and it's already translated into English. So yes, this will be, I hope so, our next project together with IGNCA. Thank you.
Brunners Oeuvre represent the celebrated life and work of Hungarian mother-daughter artist duo Elisabeth Szabo and Elisabeth Brunner, who created several masterpieces through their contemplative visual languages. The artist duo set sail for Mystic India in 1929. I would rather say their journey to India and work here was a daring and unusual pilgrimage. And today, through Brunners Oeuvre, we are paying homage to that unusual pilgrimage. This catalog is very imperative from the curatorial point of view, because first time we have incorporated an exhaustive list of 852 paintings, the complete Brunner painting collection archived by IGNCA in 2008 following the last will of Elisabeth Brunner. The primary challenge of undertaking this work was photo documentation of entire collection, as when we started this work, this collection was not at all fully digitized. So we have done simultaneous physical verification, conservation, and photo documentation, followed by standardizing cataloging system for this collection. In this catalog, we have highlighted thematic expressions of their creative oeuvre as nature, portrait, art and architecture, vibrant India and her people, and miscellaneous. Now coming to their artistic expedition, it is to be mentioned that when Elisabeth Szabo left Hungary in 1929 with her 18-year-old daughter Elisabeth Brunner, she was already a recognized artist in Budapest. Naturalistic and pantheistic landscapes, memories and visions appear side by side on her canvases. Her creative genius is fully recognized in the realm of landscape painting, especially her Himalayan landscapes, in which she is a master of great depth and sensibility. Again, her Shiva, Christ, Buddha, Tirthankara and other are not mere compassionate interpretations of iconographical representation, but pictorial versions of certain universal truths. Unlike her mother, Elisabeth Brunner's landscapes are limited in number, but scenes from life, painted in a semi-impressionistic, sketchy manner. Her insight into human nature was amazing, and this is what made her an affluent portrait painter. Elizabeth Brunner has painted princes to peasants, rajas and ranis, poets and politicians, and almost all the leading personalities of modern India, from Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, Mahatma Gandhi, Nehru, Sarojini Naidu to J. Krishnamurti and many others, which represent not mere photographic reproductions but passionate psychological studies. In Shanti Niketan, under the auspices of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, and surrounded by a pure Indian atmosphere, they found guiding spirit, which also made them a devout admirer of India. Elizabeth Brunner once expressed that these, I quote, I can only feel it, but I feel it so strongly, unquote. Again, she expressed, I quote, through the contemplation of beauty, goodness, love, were taken from the inexhaustible mines of nature's wealth and are the result of a lifelong search. These painting pictures of mine, which should speak and convey a message in their own language to those who behold them. Unquote. Elizabeth Szabo and Elizabeth Brunner are both buried in Nainital among the foothills of Himalayas. On their grave, the words of Rabindranath Tagore, which Elizabeth Brunner once heard in her dream in Sicily, are carved on a marble plate. Quote, take this light to every corner of the world. Unquote. Between mother and daughter, they shared the joy of creating India's teeming life and varied landscape in lines and colors for world's cultural heritage and their humble homage to humanity and art. Thank you. I would like to thank once again Member Secretary IGNCA Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi and HOD Kalanidhi Professor Dr. Ramesh Chandra Gaur sir for their guidance and support in shaping Brunners Oeuvre. I would like to thank Media Center and CIL Division IGNCA for assisting in photo documentation work. I would like to thank Conservation Division IGNCA for necessary conservation work for this collection. I would like to thank Publication Unit IGNCA for necessary coordination. Last but not least, I would like to thank Gunjan V. Joshi, my colleague from Cultural Archive. She was support system in each step from chapterization to physical verification, writing descriptions and all. Thank you once again.
May I now request all the dignitaries present over here to kindly officially launch the book and reveal the book cover.
It is lovely to hold this book in my hand and see again some of the pictures which I used to see in Elizabeth's house in 75 Rabindranagar. For example, Shiva with the cobra on his head, that was a painting which was hanging there on her wall in the sitting room. In the Brunners Oeuvre, the editors divided their paintings, mothers and daughters paintings, into 5 sections. There are portraits, which was a specialization of Elizabeth, the younger Elizabeth. There are landscapes, which was the specialization of the mother. And then vibrant India, where basically very many of the mother's spiritual paintings came. And 1 or 2, the marketplace in Bolpur, for example, went into that section. Art and architecture, both their paintings and drawings went into, and into the miscellaneous section also. So it was really wonderful to see these paintings again. The Brunners belonged to a fantastic generation of women. The mother belonged to the generation of the great Theosophists, for example, Annie Besant and Leo Steiner, and the daughter belonged to the generation which was born in the beginning of the century, the first 1.5 decade of the century, like the anthropologist Margaret Mead, the philosopher and writer Simone de Beauvoir, and also our own Amrita Shergill. But they had a very deep love for India, for the shapes and the colors. There was one remark by the editors of the book about the rare zeal and understanding of the Brunners, so for the Indian forms, which is so rare in foreigners. Now, I would like to draw attention to the fact that from the day of their arrival, on 17 February 1930, they sided with the Indians. And not only they sided with Indians, but they were also categorized under suspicious foreigners section by the British police because of their clothes, because of their simplicity and the way of behavior. These were the days of the civil disobedience in India, when British ways of living and behavior were rejected. And the Brunners resonated with this kind of thing. They were already vegetarians, they had a high level of spirituality, and they immediately floated towards the civil disobedience movement and the independence movement. In the book itself, I would also like to highlight the paintings on Tagore and Gandhi. We see Tagore in some of my special favorites are Tagore in the forest and Tagore the gardener. And this show Tagore as a part of nature. A painting on Gandhi, which represents Gandhi with rainbow above her head, which is usually typical of sacred objects and sacred beings, also shows that these two figures, Tagore and Gandhi, were special anchors of the two Brunners, and they always felt that they were very close to Tagore and Gandhi, and whenever they needed their support, it was given to them. So the Brunners came and moved towards the civil disobedience movement and to the independence movement, and this was also the way of the development of their own art. Thank you for your attention.
This is a good opportunity to share some thoughts with you concerning this book launch. To start with, I'd like to say that this year is a special one concerning the relations between Hungary and India, because we celebrate the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries in 1948. So if we talk about the existing relations based on mutual respect and trust between India and Hungary, we cooperate in many areas, and if we are talking about these relations, there is a must to talk about our cultural ties. And if we talk about our cultural ties, we should talk about the painters with Hungarian roots who lived and worked here in India. Probably everybody knows the name of Amrita Shergill, but Indian art lovers also might be familiar with the works of Brunners. Somebody called them Hungarian daughters of India. For the mother, Elizabeth Szabo Brunner, and daughter, Elizabeth Brunner, the journey to India was a special one, from a homeland to a homeland to be. So it was a main reason for them for staying in India, at least. Among the foreigners living in India, and Margaret mentioned it, they were among the few who approached the problems of India with sympathy and sensitivity. They loved the country, and they found a new home, and probably they found their peace of mind here in India. They spent several years in Japan also. They returned to India after Japan, and as it was mentioned, their work have been displayed frequently in India and also in US, Britain, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and of course in Hungary, as you mentioned it. So I'd like to say that the Brunners will always be remembered for their love for India and dedication to its people, land, and ideas in India. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's really pleasure for the IGNCA to bring out this publication. I'm happy that the Cultural Archives took up this challenge and brought out this beautiful publication. So I must congratulate them for this, and hope that we would continue this kind of a work in future as well. I was also surprised to see that when Hungarian Cultural Centre decided to give us few paintings of Elizabeth Brunner to IGNCA and kept remaining with them or sent some of them to Shanti Niketan, what happened to those paintings at Shanti Niketan? As far as my knowledge goes, nothing much has happened in Shanti Niketan, but maybe if you can felicitate, IGNC is ready to take that collection as well in the cultural archives. Because why I am telling you, because we have been getting constant demand of this collection to be shown at different location. I remember that when Shanti Niketan celebrated 100 years, then one big exhibition was held in Kolkata, Belvedere House, where this entire collection had gone, and we displayed this collection at the Belvedere House for substantial days, and it was seen by a couple of thousand people there and appreciated. So this is an important collection for us. This is a privilege of the institution to have a collection like this, and sweet memories of the mother and daughter duo. This has been the endeavor of IGNCA to sort of not only keep these collections in the cultural archives, but bring them to the notice of the people, especially the scholars, students who want to study, who wants to understand. Especially the paintings, because paintings are such proud possessions that it tells about this civilization and the cultural heritage of that particular time. One painting speaks more than 1,000, 10,000 words, and so you can understand so many things about the prevailing civilization and culture. We have been studying this, trying to study this art of picking up the basic nuances of civilization from the minute details in the paintings. For instance, paintings or photographs of, for instance, we have the collection of Raja Deen Dayal's photograph, which are as old as almost 185 years, and maybe in those paintings you can find out the basic nuances of the culture, the tradition, the jewelry, the costumes, the drapery, the archaeology and everything. So that is how we can instigate the students of art history to go and study these things, which are very important. Similarly, we strongly feel that Brunner's painting are like that, and they are also a bridge between India and Hungarian relationship. Now, since India and Hungary are celebrating 75 years of their diplomatic relations, I think this particular catalog book would play an important role in strengthening the relations between the two countries. With the positive intervention of His Excellency the Ambassador and my friend and colleague here who would go to Budapest as our representative, would definitely try to create a few events which can strengthen the relationship between the two countries. Once again, I congratulate my colleagues for bringing out this publication, and I thank the Hungarian Cultural Centre for being partner to this event, and His Excellency for gracing this occasion as chief guest.